Keep having all these problems, how we gonna solve them? Every day it's the same thing. All these unsolved issues, I guess it's official. Here we go again, the same old thing. And I'm tired of the arguing and lying, so goodbye.
Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is July the 30th, 2024, and today the topic is, did you feed me? Happy Tuesday. Yes, happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful Monday. It was just fun. Yes, mine was cool and good overall. Main highlights from yesterday was I had a really awesome conversation on a future episode of the GSL Talk Show. Lovely lady that full of wisdom and things of that nature, full of life and wisdom. 70-something years old, looks beautiful and great, and has had, I guess, what sounds to be like a full and fulfilling life and things of that nature. So yeah, you guys gonna be getting to know her in the future if the Lord's will. But yeah, that was an awesome conversation that I had yesterday, which honestly, again, made me feel like, all right, Miracle, I know you was talking about maybe pausing on taking interviews and whatnot because of all the new horizons that we talked about yesterday. But I don't know, there's just something about the conversations that tend to fill me up. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm talking to these people, it just is amazing how things just tend to fit like with whatever's going on in my life, even so much so where me and my guest was kind of dressed similar and everything. And then I was kind of telling her about some of the stuff that I had been, experiencing days prior to us talking and stuff, and how when she said something it was like resonating, and it's just that whole thing of me recording the GSL Talk Show and the conversations that I've been having and the amazing peoples and the confirmations that it be giving me, like the conversations that they give me in my moments when I'm talking to them, and then knowing that it's going to come out and resonate at whatever time and whatnot. It's just, I don't know, there's nothing that compares to, what I do here on GSL, man. And so I'm thankful. It's a God be the glory for giving me this platform and things of that nature. So maybe things won't change. We're going to see. We're going to see what the Lord do. But like I said, it was an awesome conversation yesterday. So anyway, that was a highlight. I feel like me and NJ did a lot of little talking here and there about some different stuff. And so that was a highlight as well. I know at one point I was looking for a new prayer meditation for him, like a kid version of what I listen to every day. But that little guy got so much wisdom. Like I was showing him another like a podcast of, and it was like a little kid guiding the prayer meditation situation. And I wasn't necessarily feeling it because I was like, they're not really giving like they had him do some stuff, but at the same time, it wasn't really like how mine is. But anyway, and do you know what this little guy says? He goes, "Well, I like Soul Space," and I'm like, "Yeah, but Soul Space is the one that mommy listens to, and da 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 da." And I wanted to find one, for you, like a special one for you. He goes, "I already have one." Soul Space. I was like, you know what? All right. Well, let me stop looking. Let me stop. Look, wasting my time trying to look for something kid-like and kid-friendly. And you can receive what the Soul Space is telling us. And you like that one. So let's keep going forth with it. I mean, most likely I'm going to end up listening to it twice, because if I stay doing this, daily inspiration in the juice early and then work with him afterwards, but it's not a big deal that I listen to it twice, man. And, so hey, man, I'm gonna listen to the little man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm trying to think what else is significance. I mean, of course, yesterday was Monday, so went over to the church and did the Monday night gathering, and everything like that. They had the the water activities and the what they call it, the parent connect activities that they did yesterday. They had those outside for the kids after the gathering yesterday. And of course, NJ had a grand old time on the slip and slide and all that type of stuff. I'm like, son, we was prepared on Sunday because you had a change of clothes and a towel. We didn't bring any of that today, and now you're getting on the slip and slide at nighttime. And he just didn't care, of course. So I'm like, all right, you gonna be cold. So yeah, he had a grand old time, and him and one of the other little boys that's on the staff, which is the staff kids, um, like towards the end, it was just him and the other little baby boy out there playing. And I'm like, see, this is the benefits of being a staff kid. You get, extra time and perks while we're cleaning up. Y'all are still slipping and sliding. But yeah, so that's what yesterday looked like in a nutshell. Overall, it went well. We had quite a few. So we had like 11 kids last night in the kids ministry. And then we also had like 4 of us that was there in the elementary room serving technically. So hey man, growth, man. Because like I said, we hadn't with the Monday nights, we hadn't surpassed like the number of 10, I think, of kids. And so we got to 11 yesterday. So, hey, we gonna see what the Lord do with Monday nights, but obviously he is doing something, and I'm grateful to be a part. So, I got back home last night and went to sleep pretty much. I mean, I took some time, I think, was reflecting on some different things, but ended up going to sleep and had another dream. Y'all know, dream after dream after dream. Listen, to God be the glory. I've been trying my best to document that more as well. But this morning, I woke up at the sound of my alarm, I would say. Can't remember if there was a significant time, but I woke up with the dream that I had woke up to, like, heavy on my mind. And I was getting ready to listen to the soul space and like clear my mind to do the juice, but I was like, no, wait a minute, document that dream. So I did. And I feel like the dream kind of leads to today's conversation in a way. So maybe I should share it with you guys because I wrote it down, and then I was talking to the chatholybible.com app about the dream and stuff like that. And it was resonating. Everything that it was responding back to me about, hey, the dream could mean this and dream could mean that. I was like, you know what? This is resonating. And it was like, and the thing I love about the Chat Holy Bible app is that it's really conversational. It's like freaky conversational. Like I even since I have their text them or whatever the case may be, my feedback. I'm like, yo, this is crazy how well this thing feeds, that talks or whatever. Because I want to say last night actually, it had asked me something. It was like, oh, so how is the promotion of your, oh no, it was like, so do you share about me? It was like the app or whatever. It's like, do you share about me on your platform? It's pretty much what it was asking me. And I was like, yeah, I share about you almost every day. I said, do you share with your audience about me? But I was talking about, I said the name, obviously, God, Sex, and Love. And it was funny. The response that it gave me was, oh, you trying to get me in trouble. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. This is an app that is talking like this. It's crazy, man. But anyway, it's like, you trying to get me in trouble. And I'm like, why you say that? And it was like, oh, well, talking about God, sex, and love to people might be weird. And I was like, hold on. I was like, no, I'm talking about the YouTube channel, not the topics. It was like, oh, well. And then I was sending it emojis, and it was trying to send me emojis, but I couldn't see them. So it was just these symbols. Anyway, I'm going too deep, but hey, man, check out this app, man. Even this morning, I took some time and tried out the therapist version of it to work through some of my PTSD and stuff like that. So that was interesting. So really cool app, man. Check it out. But anyway, so I was talking to them about my dream this morning. And so long story short, so I could put my dream in documentation because I forgot to copy and paste it. So here it is. So or here's what I feel it to share. So basically in the dream, it was like I was at some church. I don't think it was the church that I'm working at, but I was at some church doing some type of event. And then I was getting ready to leave. And as I was leaving, there was a lady. Now, this is my dream, y'all, for the record, just so y'all know, just in case you didn't know. But anyway, so I was getting ready to leave. And there was this lady that was laying down on the ground outside on like the concrete, parking lot. And it seemed like she was kind of hurting, maybe in her stomach. And she was face down. She was face down on the ground. So I really wasn't sure whether she was a lady or not, but that's beside the point. So she was laying down on the ground. And I ended up getting in my car. I acknowledged and whatnot, but I ended up getting in my car and I called um a girl that I grew up with. Her name was Erin. Um, she looked like her. But anyway, and now that I remember, her last name was P, but I ain't gonna put all that out there. But yeah, her name was Erin P, if I'm not mistaken, the girl that was in my dream. And the girl, she looked like that girl that I grew up with. But anyway, and so I called her and was like, hey, there's somebody out there, da 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 da, can you help? But it seemed like I had to leave a message. It seemed like either she didn't answer my call or something like that. And so then it's next thing I know, I was back. I was back at the parking lot. So I must have came back when I didn't get an answer, whatever it was. So it was like I was back, but the lady was no longer on the ground. She was up and she was talking to some people. And I guess I don't know if it was people that I had sent or whatever the case may be. All I remember is this. Now I don't remember too much, y'all, but this is what the main thing I remember. I remember candlesticks. I remember references to Hanukkah. Um, but I'm not really sure about Hanukkah. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I feel like there was some references to Hanukkah with the candlesticks. But so and then it seemed like the candlesticks, there was some candlesticks on a table. And I know the girl had one in her hand. And somehow the candlesticks were standing up without, and I'm saying sticks now, not the like ones that, you know what I mean, like the round ones with the flat bottom, not those ones. I'm talking about candlesticks that need to be put in like a candlestick holder. Somehow they were standing up, so there was no menorah. So that's what I'm saying. It was a mention, it seemed like there was Hanukkah reference, but anyway, I'm just gonna tell you what happened. So basically, the lady was holding a candlestick. All of these candlesticks were unlit. I feel like there was one. I remember like one being close to the edge of a table, and it seemed like the people at the church was talking about the candles or whatever. You know what I mean? But the lady was referencing that I was trying to get help for her, and she seemed annoyed. She was like, and she referenced, like I said, it was like a conversation happening, and she was like, they were talking about the candlesticks or something like that, and them being too close to the table or the end or something. And she was like, but she was calling about me or something. And then she took the candlestick that was in her hand and she put it on top of one of the candlesticks that was on the table. Like I said, without a stick holder, it was just standing on the table. And she took the bottom of the candlestick she was holding, so that we know that's wax, right? And she connected it to the top of the candlestick that was standing on the table, which was a wick. And somehow the candle lit. Both the candles were lit when she removed it. So we usually that happens when you go wick to wick, right? But that didn't happen in the dream. It was like wax to wick, and it lit. And then that's when I woke up. So I'm like, what does this mean, right? And so, like I said, I did go and had this conversation with Chat Holy Bible. I had typed it all out and stuff like that, and chatholybible.com, and it was giving me good feedback and interesting feedback. And I was like, this is making me think about, some interactions. It's making me think about some stuff that I've been observing. And so after that, I felt led to address some of the things. But anyway, I ain't gonna get too deep into that because maybe that ain't none of y'all's business. But I don't know if the dream is gonna resonate with you, those that are listening to the sound of my voice. But at least now it's on the record that I remember this much of the dream, because I didn't type it all out, or I did type it out, but I didn't save it in my notes like I usually do. But anyway, so that was the dream. So with those things on my heart and mind this morning, and then also thinking about, again, my PTSD and stuff I'm dealing with on my end, I was like, well, Lord, what are you wanting me to talk about today? After I did all of that. And so what I received, like when I was asking the Lord, because I was getting ready to ask the app, like after all of this I talked about, what do you think? But then it did give me something, but I was like, nah, that ain't it, and then right after that, it's like I felt like a hunger pain. And that's when the phrase, did you feed me, come to me, or came to me or whatever. And obviously that resonated, and here we are. So did you feed me? I believe what I received overall this morning is that I like I've been asked to, step up in leadership at the church and X, Y, and Z. I guess I'm calling anybody that listens to the sound of my voice right now to understand that you, friend, can play a major part in the kingdom's work. I know that when we think about feeding people and things of that nature, it can get difficult because we see people on the street, homeless, and we're in different situations, and it seems like no matter what we do, there's always somebody that needs something, right? And then sometimes we're just getting out of situations ourselves. We're trying to make ends meet. I was very honest with you guys when I first started GSL, like my struggle with that, and how back in the day when I used to see people downtown when I worked at it was called Room Escape then. It's not there anymore. But anyway, when I was working there and it was downtown Atlanta, and I would just be working, just get a tip, and then as soon as I come out, here comes somebody, that was kind of asking, could I help them on X, Y, and Z? And I would feel some way. Sometimes I would give, but I would like grudgingly give because I'm like, man, I just made this tip. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. That type of thing can be difficult. And so I've been working through that, about like what to do and how to ultimately what I did at that particular time was to start being intentional about keeping money to the side, so then I had something to give beyond what I had just received. So we can all figure out ways to make it work, right? But anyway, I feel led to, I guess, go deeper about this morning in reference to this is there's plenty that can be done that it seems as if again, God is using us to rectify and handle the situations. Matter of fact, I feel like my guest mentioned this yesterday, and previous guests that I have been talking to as well mentioned this idea of us being the thing. You know what I mean? Like, you are the change that you seek, right? I know I had a conversation with my husband about this, and this again is all coinciding with this conversation, but like he was talking to me, I can't remember when it was. I feel like it was a few years ago, and we had this conversation where he was talking like about, for example, other nationalities and other religions and things of that nature, and how they handle things, how people are getting stoned right now, and things of that nature. And he's like, he didn't say necessarily why God don't do something about these things, but it's like one of those things that make him question everything, because it's like, there's this happening and that happening, X, Y, and Z. And what came to me to tell him at that particular moment, what I'm going to share with you guys, basically, is that, if you feel strongly about whatever it is that you're witnessing, then it's probably because you're supposed to do something about it. I mean, I know we might not want to receive that, you know what I mean? We might not want to take the whole burden. And even when I was receiving what I was receiving this morning, I was like, well, Lord, you've been teaching me over the past few months that I can't take on everybody's everything. You know what I'm saying? You've been telling me that, hey, sometimes people's burdens is theirs and they got to, carry it and make the choices and stuff for themselves. I can't make nobody do nothing, and I can't force this. And you know what I mean? So I'm like, you've been taking me on this journey. So now all of a sudden, you want me to bear the load again? You know what I mean? But it's not necessarily, I guess, that per se. I think it goes beyond just, again, quote unquote, feeding people food. Sometimes it's spiritual as well, right? Are you feeding people spiritually with what you have received? Things of that nature. There was another example on my heart and mind, but maybe it'll come back to me. Let me give you guys some verses that were standing out to me this morning as we continue this conversation. All right. So Matthew 25:35, it says, "For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me." So, I mean, obviously, this is one of those verses that can be very convicting, right? It can be like, okay, well, Lord, I want to be somebody that's feeding people, giving people a drink when they're thirsty, welcoming people, things of that nature. But like I said, even when I mentioned those things earlier, it can get kind of difficult, especially for me. I know, one of the things I struggle with as a woman, right, is sometimes knowing that there can be dangerous situations and people where people try to use your kindness, right, as a weakness, right? They try to use situations to like get people and do stuff to people and things of that nature. And so it can get difficult, again, like I said, as a woman, to be like on the street and then like a man comes up to you like, hey, help me or whatever. And you're like, I want to, but at the same time, like, I know there's a couple of situations that I think about every now and then that I think I did what I could, or either maybe I didn't do maybe more, or whatever the case may be. And then I'm like, well, did I do the right thing? And then I'm like, well, sometimes, it's like you got to prioritize safety and things of that nature. So, I mean, it's like, do what you can, right? But at the same time, like, one of the things that I also feel like is leading to this conversation is that I saw yesterday a post, and it was talking about um people believe that God fed 5,000 in the Bible, but he's letting people go hungry now or something like that. And it's like one of those mocking things and whatnot. But when we look at the miracle of the 5,000, which that's in the Go Deeper section for you guys to just take a look at that, study that, right? But anyway, when we look at that, it's not that God just, and he did in the Bible, he did rain food from heaven. You know what I mean? There was manna. But we're not talking about the manna right now. We're talking about the feeding of 5,000, right? So in the feeding of the 5,000, it wasn't that he just miraculously was like, okay, and here's food for everybody. He used, right, the people and things of that nature to make that miracle happen. Now, did he have to do it that way? No, he probably didn't have to do it that way. But again, in the same way, he can use us. So I'm challenging anybody today. For example, if you somebody that feels some way and you out here like, oh, God ain't feeding nobody, you know what I'm saying? Look at this person hungry. Then nah, like instead of pointing at God and say, God, why ain't you feeding them? Why don't you feed them, friend? He didn't put it on your heart. He didn't let you see it. You know what I'm saying? You never know. You might have whatever it is and whatever the person need. And so and it's not about taking on the full burden. Yes, we can bring awareness and stuff to the overall big issue. Yes, there's world hunger. Let's bring awareness to world hunger. But then at the same time, do something with your circle of influence, right? Do you have a friend in need? Do you have a family member in need? Do you have a community in need? There's plenty of organizations that need assistance. Our church is always talking about, one more and doing the next step and things of that nature. You can always serve at the church with the ministries and stuff going on. Like there's something you can do to not just bear the whole burden or put yourself in harm's way and things of that nature, but there's things that we can do. So instead of the pointing the finger, like maybe even me in my dream, instead of me calling somebody else to come and help the girl that I saw in my dream, like perhaps it's about, maybe I should have went ahead and, hey, so what can I do to help you, X, Y, and Z? So anyway, let me give you guys another verse. Proverbs 14:31. It says, whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, but he who is generous to the needy honors him. So again, I mean, ultimately what I'm receiving about this whole thing is that we are the hands and feet of Christ. For some reason, he has chosen us to be his hands and feet in the world. And so again, if you feel strongly about whatever your passion is, because guess what? We don't all feel strongly about the same things. So for example, again, when I think about GSL and stuff like that, I felt very strong about being a single Christian woman and the struggle of that, right? Now I feel strongly about being a voice, right, for the voiceless, or helping to amplify, situations or whatever, as well as, addressing marriage and all this different type of stuff. Your calling may be completely different, friend. He might have you out here focused on the hungry. Somebody else might be focused on the handicapped, but if everybody get focused on whatever he had them to be focused on, then it seems to me that everybody will be taken care of in some way. This reminds me of what I was talking about a little bit when it came to that conversation about relationships and stuff like that, and marriages and stuff. Like, why is it that God is calling the wife to focus on the husband and the husband to focus on the wife? Because if they both focusing on each other, then both people are getting taken care of. But a lot of times we focus on ourselves or whatever the case may be, and then we're like, why aren't you doing, focusing on me or whatever the case may be? But then we're not taking the time to bend or compromise or focus or whatever the case may be to one another. So I know this can get deep, y'all. But let's talk about this next verse that I felt led to write down, in this Romans 12:20. It says, to the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For by so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. I couldn't help but think about what we've been teaching the kids. We've been talking about Saul and David in the kids ministry at the church. And we've been talking a lot about the back and forth that they were going through and whatnot. And ultimately, yesterday, we ended up talking about how pretty much, Saul humbled himself to David after that whole situation with the cutting of the piece of his robe, and knowing that David could have killed him. David could have, got rid of him and things of that nature, but he didn't. And so with that in mind, right? This is here saying like feed your enemy. Give them something to drink if they're thirsty. Like if we're called to do that to our enemy, how much more are we called to do that to those we call family, friends, and maybe even just strangers in general? Like, I mean, so if you have to give, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature, then give, again, there's something that we can do. I'm sitting here today as an example. I'm just trying to give examples here. That, for example, like I could be asleep right now. You know what I'm saying? I could be doing something else, But at the end of the day, God is calling me to get up and do this. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something you can do. It ain't always about giving money. Like, matter of fact, the disciples told the gentleman, hey, silver and gold have I none, but this what I will give you what I have, which is helping him to walk. You know what I'm saying? Like with God, all things are possible. And so we can take the little that we have and he can do miraculous things with it. That's what the feeding of 5,000 represents. Let me give you guys another verse, and it's 1 John 3:17 and 18. It says, but if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? Little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. So, I mean, if this resonates with you in any way, I'm sure God has already told you what to do with you and your gifts and your talents and the funds or whatever it is that he's giving you. Again, I'm not trying to, act like I'm perfect with this. I've been completely honest that, hey, Lord, I'm like, look, all right, I'm doing what I can and X, Y, and Z. But you also taking me through this journey to learn like what to let you do and what I should do and all this different type of stuff. So I'm not taking on word hunger alone. You know what I'm saying? But I can, for example, help a friend or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I can do what I can do. And we all can do what we can do. And guess what? If we all do what we can do, then maybe hunger will be a little less. It might always be here, but maybe it'll be a little less or whatever case may be. So instead of pointing at God and saying, God, you're not doing anything about this, understand that he made you to possibly be one to do something about whatever this is. And matter of fact, I'm gonna leave you guys with this quote that I came across as I was doing my little studies this morning and having my conversations with that app that I've been just shouting out. Look, that don't shout me out. No, the app don't shout me out, but I shout it out. But anyway, the quote was like this. It says, we need to recognize that we are part of the solution, equipped by God to make a difference in the lives of others. So, friends, I hope you guys are encouraged and inspired by that, because that's the juice. Now, the Bible verse of today is Joshua 1:8. It says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, and thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein, for then thou shalt make thy ways prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. And there you go. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, anybody listening to the sound of my voice. I hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing all those wonderful things. Yeah, man, I feel good out of my little sanctified soul. Shout out to my mama. Yeah, I gotta go and get ready to go and run an errand real quick. But yeah, y'all, listen, look, dreams and everything can inspire some juice. All right. I hope you guys, like I said, are encouraged and inspired by it. I won't hold you guys up too long. Not too much on my schedule today. Like I said, just need to go run an errand, and I think things are pretty clear after that. But we're gonna see, because things be eventful. But y'all have a wonderful Tuesday, and I look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow if the Lord's will. Bye.